March 1968, the height of the Cold War. Somewhere deep in the Pacific Ocean, a Soviet ballistic missile submarine suddenly vanishes. The submarine was called the K-129. On board were 3 nuclear missiles, secret Soviet encryption systems, and 98 crew members. Then, silence. The Soviet Union launches a massive search operation. Ships sweep across thousands of kilometers of open ocean. Aircraft scan the waves, crews search for weeks. They find nothing, because the Americans already knew where the submarine was. Hidden beneath the ocean, the United States operated a classified network of underwater listening devices designed to detect Soviet submarines. And shortly after the K-129 disappeared, those sensors picked up something terrifying: a distant explosion. Then the sound of a submarine hull collapsing under immense pressure. The Americans pinpointed the wreck 5 kilometers below the surface. At that depth, recovery was considered impossible. But to the CIA, the K-129 was more than a lost submarine. It was a treasure vault sitting on the ocean floor. Inside could be Soviet nuclear warheads, codebooks, encryption machines, and classified military technology. If the United States could recover them, it would be one of the greatest intelligence victories of the Cold War. There was just one problem. How do you secretly steal a 25 zero-ton Soviet submarine from the bottom of the ocean without starting an international incident? The CIA needed the perfect cover story. So they turned to one of the strangest men on Earth, Howard Hughes, billionaire, inventor, aviation pioneer, and by the 1970s, one of the most eccentric and reclusive people alive. Together, the CIA and Hughes announced an incredible new project, a massive deep-sea mining ship called the Hughes Glomar Explorer. Officially, the ship's mission was to harvest rare manganese nodules from the ocean floor. The media loved the story, the world believed it, but hidden inside the ship was the real purpose of the mission: a gigantic mechanical claw. Its codename was Clementine. The claw was designed to descend thousands of meters into the abyss, grab the wreck of the K-129, and pull it into the ship through a hidden opening in its hull, completely out of sight from the outside world. It was one of the most ambitious covert operations ever attempted. In July 1974, the Hughes Glomar Explorer reached the recovery site. Almost immediately, Soviet surveillance ships appeared nearby, watching everything. But they still believed the mining story. Below the surface, the real mission began. Piece by piece, massive steel pipes lowered Clementine deeper into the ocean, down through freezing darkness, down into crushing pressure. Hour after hour, the claw descended toward the wreck resting on the seafloor. Then finally, contact. The claw locked onto the submarine. Inside the control room, tension was unbearable. Slowly, the massive wreck began to rise, 1 kilometer. Then 2, the operation was actually working. Then disaster struck. At roughly 3 kilometers below the surface, the enormous weight became too much for the system. One of the claw's giant steel arms suddenly snapped. In seconds, most of the submarine broke free. The wreck plunged back into the darkness below, smashing apart on the ocean floor. Gone were the nuclear missiles. Gone were many of the codebooks. Gone was the central control section the CIA wanted most. After years of planning and hundreds of millions of dollars, the mission was collapsing in real time, but it wasn't a total failure. Part of the submarine remained trapped inside the claw and was successfully brought aboard the ship. Inside, American crews discovered the bodies of 6 Soviet submariners. And in one of the strangest moments of the Cold War, the Americans gave their enemies a full military burial at sea. The ceremony was conducted in both English and Russian, and it was filmed. The CIA planned a second recovery mission to retrieve the rest of the submarine, but before it could happen, the secret leaked. In 1975, reporters uncovered the existence of the operation, exposing one of the most ambitious covert missions in history. When journalists demanded answers, the CIA responded with a phrase that would become legendary. They could neither confirm nor deny the existence of the project. That statement became known as the Glomar response, a phrase still used by intelligence agencies today. The operation, known as Project Azorian, cost more than $350 million at the time, equivalent to billions today. Was it worth it? To this day, nobody outside the CIA knows exactly what was recovered from the K-129. The truth remains buried somewhere in classified archives and in the darkness at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean.